Do you know the difference between overthinking and having anxiety? Welcome back to Ask Dr. Syra, the show where I answer your questions about personal growth, mental health, and relationships. Today's question is from Gia. Gia says, what's the difference between overthinking and having anxiety? What's the difference between overthinking and having anxiety? So there's a couple things that come to mind when I hear this question. First of all, it's a really good question. It's often people can confuse those two things or even think they're the same thing. So I think it's important to kind of tease out what is what. So if we think about overthinking, there's kind of three different areas that we can compare the two. So we have the first area is that overthinking is more of a symptom. It's a symptom. It's something that happens. So what is a symptom? A symptom is something that shows you that something is wrong. So the overthinking could in itself be the problem, but it's often a symptom of something else is the problem, that it's a part of a bigger thing that's going on. Not always. Sometimes people just overthink and that's all that's happening for them, but sometimes the overthinking is a symptom of having high stress levels, possibly of anxiety, of not getting enough rest. There's a lot of different things that the overthinking can be a symptom of. The other the other difference is that overthinking is often ruminating about something that's already happened. Okay, so you said something in a circumstance, or you didn't say something, and then you afterwards you think, oh, I should have said this, and why did I do that? And if I had done this, maybe they would have done that, and it's just like going on and on and on and on. So we call that ruminating, right? Ruminating is often about something that's already happened, and you're trying to think about all the different ways that you could fix it. So overthinking is linked to that. And overthinking is a very intellectual, mind-based activity. So it's happening in your head. So I've had clients who have kind of like lost time, like lost hours of time, because of the thinking and the thinking and the thinking and the thinking. And then suddenly they look up and it's been, 2.5 hours of just sitting there going over and over and over something in their mind, overthinking it. So those are the three things about overthinking. It's a symptom, it's something's already happened, and it's in the mind. With having anxiety, it's a little bit more complex. So anxiety is more of a condition than a symptom. So anxiety is a collection of symptoms. So overthinking might be one of those symptoms. Also maybe irritability, restlessness, difficulty sleeping, high levels of fear, unexplained or explained. So there's a few different symptoms that belong to the condition that is known as what we call in the field generalized anxiety disorder. Usually when people say, I've been diagnosed with anxiety, that's usually what they mean. Not always. But it's a collection of things, and you actually have to have a certain number of things in the list in order to have kind of an anxiety disorder. But you may also just be highly anxious and not have a disorder. And overthinking would be one of the things that's connected to you being highly anxious. It's a symptom of the condition. So that's the first one, symptom versus condition. The second one, so where overthinking is about ruminating on things that have already happened and rolling it over and over and over in your mind. Anxiety is often linked to racing thoughts about things that are going to happen or potentially might happen. So one way of understanding it is overthinking is about up until this moment, and then anxiety is about what's happening after this moment. And one of the ways through actually is presence to this moment, because usually in this particular moment right now, like unless you're in the middle of an actually dangerous situation, for most moments in your life right now at this moment, everything's okay, right? It's in our minds that things are not okay, but objectively, if you look outside and around you, everything's okay. So ruminating is about what's already happened, And then anxiety, that's linked to overthinking. And then anxiety is usually about what's coming, what might happen, and those racing thoughts that are linked to that. So that's another difference. And then while overthinking is very much in the mind, anxiety is a physical response throughout the whole body. So you might have a pounding heart, or a racing heart. You might feel dizzy or lightheaded. You might get really hot or really cold. You might be trembling or shaking. This I'm actually what I just described is kind of a panic attack if all those things are happening at the same time. But also anxiety in general, there's a lot more fear, ongoing fear, and a physical response in the body, where you're afraid, and you kind of want to stay. You can feel that wanting to stay safe. Overthinking, you can be overthinking but not be worried for your safety. Okay, so that's a little bit of a way to tell the difference. Anxiety is kind of a whole body experience, whereas overthinking is an intellectual, cognitive experience. So hopefully that clarified for you the difference between overthinking and anxiety. There is some overlap for sure, but they are two different things. So hopefully that was helpful. Pass that along to anybody in your world who would have this question, or maybe lives with high levels of anxiety, or even an anxiety disorder. If this is something that you think they might find useful. Ask me a question if you want to know something over the next couple of months. My email's at the end of this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.